A while back, I reviewed the animated Wonder Woman movie, which was quite good, highly entertaining, well animated. I mentioned that this movie was on the horizon, and that while I certainly hoped it would be good, if it wasn't, at least we had the animated movie to still watch. Well, here we are. Wonder Woman is out. I saw it, and what do I think? Well, first, let me tell you a bit about the movie. The beginning of the movie shows Diana in her youth and adolescence, the only living child on Themyscira, a land created by Zeus to house the Amazons, who are to prepare for the possible return of Ares, the god of war, who destroyed the other gods. The Amazons hold a weapon said to be able to kill Ares. Diana, even at a very young age, is quite interested in becoming a warrior, but her mother at first is very reluctant to let her train, wanting to protect her, but later on realizes that it is important and Diana receives the roughest and best training possible. Years later, the veil around Themyscira is pierced when Steve Trevor crashes a plane into the waters nearby. Now, if this sounds almost exactly like the animated movie, yes, that's pretty much how that one began as well. However, this movie doesn't take place in the modern age, but rather during the ravages of the First World War, and Steve Trevor is an American spy working alongside British intelligence to discover what the Germans are up to. While the British government is working on negotiating the armistice that will have Germany surrender, a rogue general aims to keep the war going by unleashing a deadly gas that no mask can protect against. He plans to use this gas in a show of power to convince the Kaiser that victory is possible and to stop the armistice. Steve Trevor stole the formulas for the gas and was trying to escape, but his plane was shot down. Shortly after he arrives and is saved by drowning from Diana, the Germans invade Themyscira and battle with the Amazons, who of course win, but they suffer casualties due to the fact that they are using bows and the Germans are using guns. Hippolyta is at first reluctant to let Diana leave the island, but Diana is resolute as she thinks the World War is clearly a sign of Ares' rise to power, and if she stops him, the war will instantly stop and mankind will go back to how she thinks they should be, in Zeus's image. This brings me to the most interesting thing about the film, and that is Diana's personality. In some ways, as you might expect, she's incredibly sheltered and very naive. Her understanding of mankind is limited to stories and mythology, and she really believes that the war to end all wars will instantly stop as soon as Ares is killed, and world peace will follow. On the other hand, she's incredibly gifted not only as a warrior, but is almost insanely educated, running loops around the generals and politicians that she comes across. She's able to speak any language, is a great tactician, and while she struggles with man's customs at first, she picks up on things before the end of the movie and is able to blend in much better. She's also adept at making friends, is kind, caring, and sympathetic, and hates suffering, but is not hesitant to kill in the midst of battle. In other words, they really nailed the character, 100%. This is the Wonder Woman of the comics brought to life. The feel of the film is all over the place, but in a good way. There's kind of something for everyone. We get the great action set pieces, we get light humor, bit of a slow-burning romance, and of course the struggle of warrior and matron that the character balances. She's known for being the most skilled fighter in the DC universe, but also the one most capable of love and kindness, and they show this here. I was delighted to see her scoff at the ugliness of London in one moment and then applaud her glee at experiencing the simple pleasure of ice cream, though the film is smart enough not to make her childlike, which might have come off as patronizing to the audience. Wonder Woman is a smart movie with a good narrative, great characters, and the actors clearly enjoyed working on it. It shows a love and a respect for the characters while also fitting in with the DC Extended Universe, but while also boldly bringing it in a new direction. The troubled DC Extended Universe is something that many argue over. Personally, I'm into it. Now, no, it's not nearly as good as Marvel's Cinematic Universe, and mistakes have been made, most notoriously on the very average Suicide Squad, and the decision to take what was a damn fine film with Dawn of Justice and pretty much butcher it in editing. But the fair-weather friends who think that they should just give up, well, let's just say I'll never understand that way of thinking. When you fail, you're supposed to learn and get better at it. Wonder Woman reminded me the most of 3 movies. It gives us the fun and frantic action of 300, complete with all the slow-motion stuff, the period piece stylization and general feel of Captain America the First Avenger, and a bit of the mysticism and flair that Hellboy had. Wonder Woman is a movie that I can't recommend enough. I'll give it a 9 out of 10. It doesn't reach the heights of Oscar bait comic movies like The Dark Knight or Logan, which are on a completely different level, but it's a fantastic effort nonetheless.